Hi there, so in this video I want to show you the difference between front loop and back loop only stitches. So I'm just going to show you with single crochet. It's the exact same process with any other stitch, half double, double, triple, doesn't matter. It's just the loop in which you're entering makes the difference in your final product. So far all I've done is I did 6 chains and then I did 2 or 3 rows of 5 single crochet just to get kind of a base, and then we're going to work in that top row. So before we get started, I'm going to show you the different loops. So if you turn your work so it's facing up, you're going to see a bunch of V's. Each V is actually an entire stitch. So if you find the hole with the V and you go straight down, you're going to find a hole. So there's another V and then another hole. So each hole is a full stitch, and that's where you would normally do your stitches. But in our case, we're actually going to be differentiating between the two to create different textures. So what we're going to show you first is back loops. So if it says back loop only or BLO in your written pattern, this is what you're going to do. You're going to look for that V and you're going to find the center of that V. So right now we can see the dark kind of spots as we go across. There should be 5 because, like I said before, I did 5 single crochet back and forth. So for each dark patch that you see, it's going to be separated by these 2 lines. So this is the front loop and this is the back loop. We're going to be working in those back loops. So in order to enter the back loop, we're going to have to make sure that we enter in through those dark patches. So what we're going to do is we're going to locate that hole right there. We're going to go into the middle and we're going to go to the back. And then we're going to do our single crochet like we would normally do. So pull through 1, pull through 2. Okay, I'm using t-shirt yarn to demonstrate this because it doesn't split like normal yarn does, so you can see really clearly where the stitches are. So our next stitch, you can see that this one's been stretched. You're going to go into the next one. So there's your dark hole. You're going to go in through the middle, out through the back. Grab your yarn, do your stitch. Okay, it's been stretched, so it's been used. Go into the next one. Okay, so that's back loop only. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fast forward and I'm going to do one more row of back loop only again. So the exact same process that I'm doing right now. So right now I've done 5, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to chain 1 and I'm going to do exactly the same thing as I did before. And because we did single crochet, the stitches will look exactly the same. So it's just a matter of what the surface is going to look like. So I'm going to fast forward and I'll see you at the end of that row. Then I'm going to chain 1 and lift my hook. So when we first started, so we just worked in that direction. So I'm going to go back to the original side that we worked on. So you can see, fold up a little bit closer, that this part right here up until my finger, the end of my finger is very flat. And then you're going to see a giant bump across the top. These are those front loops that we did not work in. So if I turn my work kind of more vertical, you can see those front loops are untouched. Okay, so like I said at the original, or at the beginning of the video, I did chains and then I did a couple rows of normal ones and then I did back loop only, so the front ones were untouched. I chained 1 and then I turned. So when I turned and did that second row, you can see that these front loops were untouched. Okay, so essentially what's happening right now is you're creating this, and if I turn it this way, you can see it's flat here and then it starts kind of ribbing. So if you continue to do back loop only for the remainder of your project, you're going to end up with this kind of ripple pattern, and it's really kind of neat. So it works really well for scarves, blankets, works extremely well for cuffs on any sort of like hat or mitten or cardigan, things like that. So if you want that, it's a pretty neat looking stitch. So now I'm going to show you the front loop, but before I do that, I'm going to do 2 rows of just normal single crochet, so that way we can differentiate. Okay, so I will fast forward through that. All right, so now I'm going to chain 1, and now we're going to work in our front loop only. So in order to work in the front loop, it's not as I personally don't enjoy it as much as the back loop only. I find the back loops are a little bit easier to access, but our front loop is going to be exactly the same. So instead of going in through the middle and going to the back, we're actually going to be going up through the front and out through the middle. Okay, so you might have to use your other hand to kind of hold open that stitch. So right now my left middle finger is inside where that hole is to help kind of guide my hook into there. So you can see I am in just that front loop, and I'm going to do single crochet. Okay, I'm going to use my finger again, lift that stitch up, and again. So, lifting up, and as you can see, I am in through the middle, and single crochet. Okay, so I'm going to finish this row, and then I'm going to do one more row of the exact same thing, and then we'll take a look at what it looks like. Okay. All right, so let's take a look at what we got. So if I were to hold my work kind of out, let me just make sure I got this going. If I hold my work like this, you can see, so this is where I started and have my flat part. These were those front loops that we skipped. And then we had front loops over here that we skipped. And then I did a flat part of just single crochet. And then over here, you can see those back loops that we skipped. And then over here, back loops that we skipped. So let's take a closer look here. So the row that I just completed, I did front loop only. So you can see that it looks very flat from the front because we used those front stitches. But if I flip it over, you can see these back loops right here are untouched. Okay, so before I did that, I chained one to lift up. So originally I worked from here to here, chained one, turned, and then worked across this way. So that's why you can see these back loops were untouched. And then you have another row of back loops that were untouched. Okay, so you get the same exact result as the back loop only. So really, if you really want that ribbed look, so you need to decide whether or not you prefer physically doing the back loops or physically doing the front loops, but you will get the exact same result in the end. Okay, so I just wanted to show you the difference between front loop, back loop, and just standard single crochet. Hopefully that helped.